Tom Slater, coming back to you. Let's just go through a little bit about what the Archbishop of Canterbury's story is about. And this is one that's been around for quite a while, and it involves a guy called John Smyth, and he was a KC, well, he died while he was still a QC. He died in Cape Town in 2018. He was already under investigation by British police. But it turns out, for many, many years, as is often the case, he had been able to access at Christian summer camps for kids numerous, dozens and dozens of young boys and very young men to basically beat viciously with a cane. Boys reported that he actually had a shed in the bottom of his garden which had been soundproof so people couldn't hear the screams of the children. I think that's pretty scary stuff. Sexually abused, viciously beaten. Rumours had gone around, as they always do in church circles, about him for many years. It turns out that among the many people who would have known is the Most Reverend Justin Welby, not then the Archbishop of Canterbury, but that he was aware of concerns, shall we say, about this man John Smyth back in 2013. And a report recently into this entire scandal had basically said, look, if this guy had been exposed earlier, he would have been prevented from carrying on abusing in Britain. He wouldn't have been able to go to South Africa, where he then abused on a grand scale. We've now got 3 members of the General Synod, the Church's legislative body. They set up a petition. We're going to be speaking to one of them later in the show, arguing that he should resign over his handling of the scandal. 7,000 people have signed that now. Should he go?
Well, the pressure certainly seems to be mounting. I mean, it's difficult to know in terms of what he knew when, and that is obviously the crux of this particular
argument. Well, the belief is that he
actually
lied at one point. He did an interview and he actually lied about when he was aware.
And seeming to downplay, not mentioning in particular the fact that even when he was a lay person back in the early 1980s, if memory serves, he had been warned off Smyth, at least told that he was a nasty man and he should stay out of his way. Not necessarily knowing the full extent of what was going on, but that is being kind of hung around his neck as well, perhaps unfairly in his view, but nevertheless it's there. I think it's worth saying that an individual or an organisation, whether it's Justin Welby, the Church of England, what have you, can be inept and terrible at handling very serious allegations like this without being anyway nefarious. Sometimes there's a kind of a light cast on them which can be unforgiving without suggesting that they were covering up or turning a blind eye to abusers. Sometimes people can just be bad at their jobs, can be bad at leading an organisation, can be bad at dealing with the most horrendous kinds of cases like this.
But we've had this problem with popes as well. I mean, lots of focus has been on the Roman Catholic Church over this, but there's also an issue with the Church of England, pretty much every single church. And what's fascinating is actually the statistics show there isn't a higher prevalence of this idea that people go, in church, there isn't a higher prevalence of sex abuse, child sex abusers within religious organisations over others. It's just that they get access to more children. They get into that position of trust, as in people wanting to work in care homes. They want to be around vulnerable children and be in a position of trust where they can basically do what they want and no one will question it. And we saw that with Catholic priests, and we've seen it with the Church of England as well, where concerns are raised about one person, nearly always a man, let's be honest. They're the ones with the positions of power and they're more likely to be paedophiles, and concerns are raised, and then even if there is some specific concern, like a child comes forward, parents come forward, the urge is to protect the church as an institution, and we've seen this, whether it's the NHS or any other organisation. You protect the organisation, and then you move them on, and they're moved on to a different parish or told to go and work abroad. Go and abuse kids in Africa or Thailand where we don't have to worry about it. Here's my thing. I can't imagine any scenario where I was aware of someone who was abusing children where I would ever put the organisation I worked for's reputation or indeed my career ahead of safeguarding children. I don't even consider myself to be particularly sort of, moral, selfless person. I'm not even... I just think this is bare minimum humanity. This is bottom level. Are you able to sleep at night humanity? Yeah. So how can someone who has pontificated on migrants, on modern-day slavery, on the homeless, on every single issue, this man takes a moral stance of incredible moral superiority, but not that bothered about a guy who is beating and sexually abusing children within the organisation where he works? That doesn't tally for me. The only people who protect paedophiles are... Oh, who are those people? I wonder who those people are. Because I know who I think those people are. Who do you think those people are? Who would want to protect people who abuse children? Who? And can anyone think? Any ideas?
I wouldn't want to speculate live on air. But what I would definitely say about this is that, as you say, given the kind of moral grandstanding that Justin Welby is engaged in, beyond just, you know, preaching to his flock and trying to spread the good word as he would see it, but getting involved in all these basically kind of virtue signalling issues and campaigns, this casts this, therefore, in an even harsher light for him, partly because there's a sense of, like, you haven't even got your own house in order in terms of, even if this isn't about making, covering up for or protecting the church's reputation in a kind of conscious sense, just ineptly handling something like this is obviously a terrible oversight in and of itself.
You care about everything else, but not. I would say the thing that is the biggest issue for protecting children from sexual and physical abuse. That's got to be. It's got to be pretty high up your priorities. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Ten Commandments. I'm not a Bible reader, but I'm thinking it's probably contained in there somewhere. But there we are. Well, we'll see.